All right, what's up, everybody? If you are watching this on YouTube, I do have some students here in class, so follow along if you're watching. If you're watching, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you see when these videos are posted. And if you are here, we're going to talk about writing a summary. This resource is by Professor K.E. Ogden from Pasadena City College. So I did not make the PowerPoint, but I am using it, and I will post a link to where I got it. So that's so people can know that. Cool? Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's see if we can actually. All right, so what is a summary, you guys? A summary is retelling the main idea and key points and subpoints of the text. The text is whatever writing you are reading, right? Whether it's a story or a news article or anything like that, that is what a text is, right? So a summary takes the main idea and retells it in a different way. Okay, so it's almost like paraphrasing the main idea. It's the main idea and some key points that happened, right? Not just the topic of the paragraph or the story or the writing, but also the examples that were given. Like you can summarize those as well. All right. So what are key features of a summary? A summary, you guys, is unbiased. What does that mean? Anybody? Does anybody know what unbiased summary means? No? Okay. So there is no opinion, right? It's not about your opinion. It's about what the writing is about. So it's not about what you think of what was written, right? It is about what was actually written, whether you agree with it or not. That's what makes it biased or unbiased, right? Biased would mean that you are stating your opinion and what you think this is about, and unbiased means that you are not. Cool? Yeah? All right. So this means in this writing, it says this means that you, the writer, are restating the original author's words and ideas, their opinions, and not yours. And another thing is that summary abbreviates the original material. So if you're writing a summary about something, you don't take everything that was there and you say it, you do almost like you chop it up into a small piece, okay? So that is what a summary is. It's not, you don't have to write an essay. If you're reading an essay, you have to take what you read and put it into like more concise or smaller words. Any questions so far? No? Okay. People on YouTube, you can, or on the video, you can feel free to actually just leave a comment or ask questions in the question box. All right. So before I begin writing or before you begin writing, what are some things that you should do? Well, writing a summary is completely dependent upon your excellent reading skills. Before you write a summary, you have to read what was there. And your summary is dependent on how well you read, okay? So one thing before you actually write the full summary, you can read the section you need to summarize. You need to create a survival list of terms, ideas, concepts, and context associations that you'll need to look up in the dictionary, encyclopedia, or any other resources to better understand the article. So obviously we can't do that on the test, but on the test you can circle or take note of any important words or phrases in each paragraph that you think is relevant. You can reread the section again, this time taking back to the section, to the selection with questions, underlining key messages, try to summarize or outline the key points or subpoints in the margins as you go, right? So one thing that you can do is as you're reading each paragraph, you can say, okay, so this is what this paragraph is about. You can either circle the important terms, you can take notes of them, you can write a few things in the margin to help you remember what the paragraph is about. And lastly, you want to find the main point of the selection by reading through again to make sure you completely understand what the author is saying. Cool? Any questions? So these are just some things you need to do. Again, read the summary, try to see what you understand, what's important, and read it again with questions in mind and to make sure that you have done a good job. Cool? All right. One thing that you could do is make a rough draft, right? So you can do that by numbering each of the paragraphs in a section. All right, so as you're reading on the test, you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how many paragraphs you are reading. And again, when I say test, for people who are watching on the videos, if you are not taking a test, then this does not pertain to you in any case. And if you're here, obviously you are here for the test. All right, so copy an important quote. Or in your case, you don't have a lot of time on the test, so maybe just highlight it, right? Paraphrase the quote into your own words. What do you think that quote is saying, and why do you think it's important enough for the author to have put it in the text? And restate the paraphrase as if you're explaining the idea to someone, right? So basically, as you read through your text on your test or any other text that you're reading, pretend like someone is asking you about it and say, oh, I just read this great article and this is what it's about. Okay, so we do that a lot on a daily basis. Like something happens and instead of telling them every single details, you give them the summary, right? This is the same thing, except now we're talking about a text. We're not talking about something that happened to us. We're not talking about a friend. We're not talking about something that we heard. We are talking about something that we read. Same concept though. In the same way that you do that with, with conversations or with situations like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she told me this, this, and that, right? And you then quote it. Well, why do you quote it? You quote it because it's important. And the writer in the text that you are reading does the exact same thing. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. Feel free to stop me and ask me any questions, you guys. All right. So note, include all of the important ideas from the original. So look at the summary or look at your text and think, okay, so what is important? And include anything that you think is important in the summary. So you can use the author's keywords when you can, but not word for word phrasing of the author. You have to learn to use your own words. Oftentimes, if you're taking a test, then they have those paraphrases for you. You typically just have to select the right one. Okay? But if you're not and you're just writing a summary, then you look at the words that the author used. You don't copy exactly the words, but you do use keywords and phrases. That's why it's important to circle any keywords that you think are important. And it's also helpful for you to go back and look at them as you continue on with your test. Okay, so note how the ideas in the original composition is organized. Then try putting your summary of those ideas in the same order. So look at how the paragraph or how the story or the article is written and what is the order of events that happen, right? So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and put those into the idea that into the summary in the same order. Okay, so if the author talks about dogs and then cats and then horses, then in your summary also use dogs, cats, and horses in that order. Make sense? That these are tricks that will help you get to take that main idea and then summarize it, or helps you find what the summary is, all right, or what this entire writing paragraph is about. Okay, again, It is unbiased, so never put your feelings or opinion into the summary. The purpose of the summary is to restate the original author's ideas and not your own. So it's not about what you think of the writing, it's about what the author is trying to tell you. Cool? Any questions? All right. You can begin a comprehensive draft. So for example, you can say, here in this essay, so this is an easy way to begin it. So what you can say is, in this article by this author, right? So you put the title and the author's name, and then you say, this is what happened, right? So for example, in free writing, Peter Elbow argues that practicing the timed exercise is the most important step in becoming a great writer. All right, so we have the name of the book or the name of the article, the name of the author, and then we have the main point, and that gives us a summary. Does that make sense? Yeah? No? Maybe? Okay. This will be your time to ask questions, you guys. All right, so how should it be organized? Well, your organization should include only the information your reader needs. For example, you do this all the time, again, in talking, right? If you're trying to tell someone a story, you don't tell them every single detail. You tell them what you think is important for them to hear and understand the story. Same in the summary, right? You're not rewriting the article or the text. You are just thinking of what is important and sharing that. The number two is you state the main point first. That's the first thing that happens. Number three, you state the author's idea in your own words, not the author's vocabulary and tone. You want your reader to understand, right? So you are taking the author's ideas, but not necessarily their tone. You are expressing yourself so that your reader can understand what this article is about, not necessarily the tone of the author, but just the information. Tone is the way they sound, right? So if someone sends you a text message with like 700 exclamation points, you would look at that text message and think, whoa, why are you yelling at me, right? Well, in writing, there are verbal cues that tell us, okay, well, this is what the author is trying to say. If the author sounds sad, if he's saying the boy cried and everyone lamented over the death of his dog, right? Well, that sounds sad. You don't have to convey that tone, right? So that's tone, right? You don't have to convey that tone. You can say, oh, well, the boy, it was sad because the dog died, right? Does that make sense? All right, cool. And number four, do not write listings or table of contents in the summary, right? This is not about you writing a book. It is about the information. All right, next we have, again, we're continuing on with the organization of the summary. Use no new ideas from your own. Again, it is not your opinion. It is what the author is trying to say. And try using simple organization structure. So how can you organize it, or how can you identify that it's a summary? You can identify that it's a summary if you're looking at the test or anything like that by finding first, usually it's the author's main point, author's finding or opinion on that main point, and the author's conclusion or recommendation on the main point. These are the things that happen. Cool? Yeah. So if you're writing a summary, this is how you should organize it. Author's main point, their supporting detail almost, or the author's finding or opinion on that main point. And then the lastly is the author's conclusion or recommendation on that main point. So everything revolves around the main point. If you are looking and reading a summary and you're trying to figure out which one of these summaries is the correct one based on the text you just read, well, again, look at the author's main point, the findings or opinion on that main point, and the author's conclusion and recommendation. Same process. Okay. So this is we're not going through the example because we don't have the right text. All right. So that is that for this particular lecture. For people who are watching online, please make sure to comment if you have any questions, and make sure again to subscribe for the other videos that we will be posting. And I will see you in the next video. For those of you who are here, we are going to start another lecture, and